All right, so we've came to the last question of the exam paper, which is our accounting principles question 12. They say a company generates a 4-character code using the 26 letters of the alphabet and the 10 digits from 0 to 9. They say the code is in the form a letter, a digit, then a digit. 12.1 says determine how many different codes can be formed if letters and digits may be repeated, right? So this is what we are going to have. And then we want to form a 4-letter code, right? With those restrictions there. Okay, so they say, how many letters do we have? 26, and then digits, it's 10. But then remember, we can repeat a letter. So that means we still have a sample space of 26. We can repeat a digit, meaning we can still use the same digit, right? We still have a sample space of 10. Then this will just be 26 multiplied by 10, multiplied by 26, multiplied by 10, which all in all, it's supposed to give us what? 67,600, right? So that's your 12.1. Now, 12.2, they say determine how many different codes can be formed if the letters D, F, I, Q, U, V may not be used. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 letters have to be excluded. The code may not start with W or a Z, right? Meaning 2 letters would have to be excluded from the first position. Letters or digits may not be repeated, right? Letters or digits may not be repeated. The code ends with an odd digit, right? Okay, so again, let's indicate that. And then we are going to say, still a 4-digit code. So it's still letter, digit. So for the letters, we have a sample space of what? Remember, we cannot start with a W or Z. So that means from the 6 letters that are already excluded, we have to also exclude the other 2. Meaning from the 26, we only have a sample space of 18 that can go in here. But then when it comes to the digit here, right? Remember, there must be 1 digit that I reserve in order to use it as the end digit, right? So it must not be repeated, meaning it affects our sample space for this one. I can use all digits here, but then I have to make sure that I reserve 1 digit, which will be an odd digit. So that means here I can only put a maximum of 9, right? I can only have a maximum of 9 to choose from, with an exclusion of 1 digit that is an odd digit. So with an exclusion of either a 1, a 3, a 5, 7, and a 9, right? So when it comes to here, this is it. So I'm going to say, how many letters? Remember here, I only had 18, but then I should not repeat the letter, right? So when I come back to this one, if I were to repeat a letter, that means I would have a sample space of 20. But then from the 20, remember, there is 1 that I've already put in here. So that means this decreases my sample space to what? To 19. So in total, we have 26. We are excluding the 6, but then we have also used a letter here in the first one. So that means we are only left with 19, right? And then from here, remember, this is where we should put the odd number, right? How many odd numbers can we choose from? It's not 1. Remember, we are saying that in each and every case, you have to exclude 1 digit, which has to be an odd digit. But then the sample space of the odd digits that you'll be excluding is what? Is 5. Because it's either going to be a 1, a 3, a 5, a 7, or a 9, which are 5 digits that you can actually choose from, right? So that's a probability. That the probability is showing you the number of options that you have in terms of having to substitute in that particular block. So that means it's 18 multiplied by 9, multiplied by 19, multiplied by 5, which will give us what? 15,390. Right. So that's it. Then they're now saying the company wishes to increase the number of 4-character codes formed in question 12.2 by allowing the letters D, F, I, Q, U, and V to be used. So the ones that they initially excluded, they're now saying you can use those ones because now we can see that we are having a shortage of codes. So now let's allow those digits that were formerly not allowed to actually be in the mix of the sample space. So, okay, if we were to create here a code, how many digits will now be formed with this new restriction, right? Or this new permission that we've been given. Okay, so it means here our sample space would no longer be 18. It would be the 18 plus the 6 that were excluded. So, so that would mean that we have what? 24. Remember the W and Z, they did not speak anything about it, right? So that means W and Z is still excluded for the first digit here, for the first block, right? So the code must still not start with a W or Z. So that means we only have a sample space of 24, right? Now, nothing has been done to the digits. So digit will still be 9 here, and then it will still be 5. Now, let's come over to this point here. What should I then put in here? Remember, if this are being allowed, that means if I were to repeat, I would have 26, all 26 of them. Because remember, the restriction for W and Z only applies for the first block here. But here, there is no such restriction. So I would have 26. But then I have to consider that still I do not have to repeat the letters or digits. I have already used one letter here. So that means my sample space remains what? 25, right? And then, okay, now this is going to be what? The 24 multiplied by 9 multiplied by 25 multiplied by 5, which is going to give us what? 27,000, right? Now 27,000. Okay, so this is what we are going to do. They are saying we must calculate the percentage increase in the number of different codes that can now be formed, right? So to calculate the percentage increase now, this is what we need to do. We have to say the new number minus the old number divided by what? The old number. So if you still remember in grade 8, grade 9, we used to have this formula here for percentage increase. New minus old over old times 100. So the new number that of codes that would be formed is now what? 27,000. But the old number was only 15,390. And then over the what? The 15,390 multiplied by 100, right? And then when you punch all of that into your calculator, as a percentage, you will get what? 75.44% rounded off to 2 decimal places, right? And that's how you were supposed to calculate that. Awesome. Okay, so pretty interesting question right there. Pretty interesting question. That's how you could have bagged yourself the 8 marks there. So make sure that you practice this segment of your probability there, right? So this is where you should be collecting marks, your grade 11 probability and grade 12 probability. This is the topics that you use to supplement your marks throughout the exam. Right, so that's it, guys. Make sure you share the link with your friends and classmates so that they may also find assistance. Remember, do not be selfish. We are winning as a team.